Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. David Fradin joining us live here from California. He's the president of Spice Catalyst and so much more as an entrepreneur and, of course, speaker, author, developer, you name it. He's back with us today talking more about his product management training side and consulting. Go to spicecatalyst.com for more information. And welcome back, David. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, you have a lot going on. I mean, from all the workshops, the events, the books, there's a lot to you. So for those that may not know, David, in a nutshell, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know we need like a whole show and a half just to talk about this, but I mean, you are very successful and now you're doing all this training and mentoring. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I teach product management and product marketing. I prefer to call it product success
Mm-hmm.
management worldwide. My number one client is Cisco, and I and my trainers have trained about half of all the product managers at Cisco over the last 10 to 15 years. My background is in product management at Hewlett Packard and at Apple, general management at Apple. And I have sponsored or supported or consulted on over 70 products and services across multiple areas of hardware, software, telecom, advertising, video, and so forth.
Amazing. Well, we're excited to have you back. And is this our last show?
Last show.
I wasn't sure. Oh my goodness. It's been quite a few fun months getting to know you and all you do and all the people you're helping out there and some great stories along the way too. Wow. So for today, I know we're going to go over a little bit about AI, right? So the uses of artificial intelligence now, how that's working with product success management, right?
Correct. Yeah, and I think the important thing about people to know about artificial intelligence is to understand where that particular AI tool got trained.
Okay.
So, for example, some of those tools have scraped the internet and taken proprietary information, like from the New York Times and other places, and they use that to train their tool, which is without any compensation. Others have, like Perplexity, I use all the time because it tells you not only what the answers are, but also gives you the references as to where it got the answers from. So that way you can quality check it or fact check it to make sure it's not leading you astray. And then others like Meta announced a few weeks ago, months ago, that they're going to train their free AI tool on the things that we post in Meta or on Facebook and in Instagram and WhatsApp, which is particularly scary because a year or two ago, there was a rumor about Hindus and others in India that one religious sect was killing cows, which are sacred in India, and that caused riots. And I think about 100 people lost their lives over it. So if the AI tool is scraping information or what they think might be facts from unreliable sources like our posts in WhatsApp, then the results it's going to give us could be pretty problematic, and you need to stay away from that.
Wow. And it just, you mentioned where are these training facilities for AI? Where is this even happening? This is just beyond my realm. Where is this stuff happening? All over the world? Is it there certain areas that are training? I mean, who's training this artificial intelligence?
Well, I think what they're doing is like Chat CPT or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Uh, they tell it to go to the New York Times and read all the articles of the New York Times as far back as they possibly can,
Oh my
and then
gosh.
categorize it and store it, I suspect, on their servers. So, and then they'll do the same thing with the Washington Post and with, the Detroit News. If there's probably any books out there of any type, any academic articles, and they'll pick these things, and they have the scientists that can set up the bots that will crawl those sites and then train the generative AI tool based upon that information that they gather.
Amazing. All right. Thank you for that. And moving on now to more about this whole product market strategy and what's happening. You mentioned scheduling help, who should be deciding, informing, consulting. This is where it gets a little confusing.
I've identified areas where artificial intelligence can help in product management and product marketing. The first area is the S of SPICE, the strategy, the product market strategy.
Okay.
So one area can help is in scheduling. So for example, I and my team, say 10 people, need to find a mutually acceptable date and time that we can, and place where we could get together.
Mm-hmm.
It could go out, check everybody's schedule, and come back with suggestions as to which will work for everybody to get together for a meeting. It could also possibly help with the scheduling of ordering of materials and getting the materials in time so that manufacturing can be done just in time and so forth. So overall in scheduling, I think AI can be very useful. The second area is what I would call a DACY or RACY chart, where the D stands for decision maker, the A stands for advisor, the C stands for being consulted, and the I stands for being informed. The key there is in some companies, they think everybody is the decision maker. Or in other companies, they think just the president is the decision maker. But what a DACY chart helps you do is say, okay, who needs to be the decider on this particular issue?
Mm-hmm.
Who needs to be consulted? Who needs to be advised? And who needs to be informed? And such a decision-making chart helps avoid conflicts later on when you're trying to bring a product to market. Example of that is when I was trying to bring the Apple III Plus to market. Steve Jobs said that he doesn't want the Apple III Plus introduced, even though we had already introduced it 3 weeks earlier.
Oh, wow.
And he wanted the product killed so that he could preserve a segment of the marketplace for his beloved Macintosh that he's not yet shipped. And this is before he got mentored by Dave Packard about 7, 8 years later, saying, "Hey, look, if you're afraid of cannibalizing your own product, then somebody else is going to do that for you." So he changed his strategy later when he came back to Apple in the late 1990s. So putting together this DACY or RACY chart is very important. Another example is I was teaching product management and product marketing to the Botswanian telecommunications company in Botswana, in South Africa. And I wanted to go there because I wanted to see how they could get a country north of South Africa, because Botswana is north of the country of South Africa. And one of my students was from a large bank from Joburg. That's what they call Johannesburg because they're too lazy to say the word. So they call it Joburg. And he said he just got a call that his product line had been canceled. And I said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, they just hired a new general manager for some area of the bank. And that general manager came in and said, 'We don't need this product.' So they canceled it." And I asked him, "Did you have this DACY chart?" And he said, "No." I said, "If you did have the DACY chart, would that general manager even be on there?" And he said that that person would have had no authority, no responsibility, didn't even need to be consulted. And so he said, "What should I do?" I said, "Well, when you go back to Joburg, go to your office, ask for a meeting with the president, and explain to him that the manager should not be part of the decision making on this particular product." Which he did, and they allowed the product to continue. But it had so soured the engineers on the product that within a year or two, just about everybody that was working on it left the company. So
Wow.
having a decision-making chart like that is very important, and a AI routine can help put that together. Another area where artificial intelligence can be helpful is understanding what your prospective customers want to do, why they want to do it, when they want to do it, how they want to do it. That's the C in SPICE for understanding your customer. Discovering that information takes a while, probably 3 to 6 person months, at least 1 person month of active activity, and AI can help bring that together. And then taking what it is that you want to do, you can ask AI to write the problem scenarios, the use cases and the desired outcomes. I was just playing around with an author tool, AI tool, and I put my book, uploaded the entire manuscript from Building and Sailing Great Products, and it came back and wrote a summary of the book and a introduction to the book that will encourage people to want to buy it. It identified keywords for me, what price points I should have, also metadata and so forth. All of these things used to take a trained person maybe a day or so to put together. Now this thing put it together in about 3 minutes, and it was pretty persuasive. Another thing you can ask AI to do is a competitive analysis to compare your product to other companies' products. Ask it, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Another area is to ask it what useful and disruptive technologies might be coming along in the future that will affect your product or service. Another area which is difficult to do is to write personas for your target market, your target audience. And a persona would consist of gender, age, what it is that they want to do, where do they get their information from, what are they afraid of, how are they viewed within the organization. And those things, you have to do lengthy interviews in order to come up with a good persona. And AI can help write that either as part of gathering the information that you want, and or after you gather the information to write the persona out, so that your marketeers and your engineering team know who they should be targeting for the development of the product and also for the marketing of the product.
Got it. Thank you. And David, I'm sorry, just to interrupt. How do we contact you again? I want to remind everyone where we should be going.
You can send me an email at dave@spicecatalyst.com or go to my website. There's a form there you can fill in to ask whatever questions you might have.
Awesome. All right, let's continue our conversation here. We are today talking about artificial intelligence and, of course, how it's being used with the topics that David can help you with: product success management. And where do we head to next? There's so much that it can do. My goodness, where are we now? I'm trying to pull up the notes and look at you. Hold on.
Yeah, the next area that artificial intelligence could help as part of the product market strategy is gather data on the size of the market, your target markets, and alternative distribution strategies. I was one of the key things for a success of the product is make sure that you've distributed it to where people are going to potentially buy it. A few years ago, I was given credit for having shipped the first ad on a cell phone, and this was through some free apps that people could put on their cell phone. One of it was a little one called Encore, and it was a virtual cigarette lighter. So if you go to a concert and you forgot and you want an encore, and normally in those days you would pull out your cigarette lighter and wave it back and forth to get the artist to do another song or two. But if you stop smoking, you don't have a lighter anymore. So this was a virtual lighter that would light up on your cell phone. So a lot of people at the Hollywood Bowl would use Encore. And in fact, it became so popular in LA that the Los Angeles Times wrote an article about it. And it was a free giveaway. But I took the market advice from Nokia that said that they had the largest installed base of cell phones worldwide, only to find out later that most of their cell phones were located in Europe and in Asia because they were the cheapest cell phone around. But my distribution strategy was to have a sales force of reps selling ads in Encore and other apps that I had to the U.S. Companies. Well, most U.S. companies could care less about marketing in Europe or in Asia. So I had a discontinuity between my distribution strategy and where my actual market was. Well, AI can help sort through that ahead of time. Then by identifying your value propositions, why it is people should buy your product, then AI can help write the value proposition and then help with product positioning. And positioning is what people think of in their mind, that this product over here compares to this product over there. So, for example, the sometimes the product positioning is embraced in the brand, which is the promise of the product or the promise of the company, and sometimes that gets boiled down to a tagline. So I always thought that Apple should have the tagline, "It just works," while Microsoft Windows, on the other hand, who knew you'd have to press on start to stop the computer? Should probably have the tagline, "Helping more people feel more stupid than any other company in the world." So AI can help with the product positioning. You can also ask it in this particular market with this kind of product, what kinds of opportunities are there for me and what are the risks? I wonder if before COVID, it could have come out and said, hey, one of the risks to your product or your service is a worldwide pandemic. I don't know. It could also help in budgeting because you go look at budgets for other products that have come in on budget, under budget, over budget, and help you with budgeting. And lastly, like I mentioned earlier, in pricing strategy, AI can help you take a look at what else is available in the market, compare that to the value you would get out of the product, and then suggest a pricing strategy and a price for you to maximize whatever your pricing strategy is. It could be units sold, it could be profitability, it could be gross profits, it could be largest margin. It depends upon your strategy, and AI can help you settle on that.
Beautiful. Wow, there's so much to this. I had no idea how helpful this could be, and it's just fascinating how it's helping you and your business with your training and your clients. And I just how does this work with taking away, the human job? That's always been a factor with using more of AI technology. I mean, what do you say to that?
Well, I don't think it's going to replace humans yet. The
Yet.
issue of the issue of judgment has to come into it,
Yeah.
uh, and fact checking. Um, and the next part of where it can help is in the P of Spice, which is a repeatable process, so that you can climb up the maturity curve and repeat the same process that's successful and correct and fix the processes that are not successful. One of my clients had a Wi-Fi product for colleges and universities and government. And they developed 5 products, shipped 5 products, and all 5 failed in the marketplace. And I asked them if they had a repeatable process, and they said no. And the VP of product management there says their failure to have a repeatable, documented process for product development results in a culture of blame, he said, because everybody would blame everybody else for the failure of the product. Whereas opposed to that, if you got a football team and you go out and play a game, you always have an after action report to figure out you did well and what you did not do so well in the playing of that game and what things you should
Mhm.
fix in order to improve. And that's what a repeatable process offers.
Gosh, thank you so much. All
But
right.
another area that AI can help is you need to gather a lot of information to make decisions about your product and about your market and about your market strategy. So it can help pull together internal and external information in order to make informed decisions. I once was consulting with the services group of a large networking company, and their market research department subscribed to 80 market research reports from different companies, like the Gartner Group and so forth. And I went through all 80 of those market research companies and found only 4 of them covered the services side of the business. And I asked the corporate market research group if they could buy those 4 services so that I would have information upon which I could base my recommendations to the president of this $4 billion a year services division of this large networking company. And the market research group says, yeah, we'd be happy to buy it, but we can't do it. Now, this is like in February of a year. They said, but we can't do it until our fiscal year is over and we've gone into our next fiscal year, which would be like in September. I said, well, my project's going to be over next month. How do I make recommendations if I don't have the information I need to make decisions? Well, now with AI scraping the internet, it's possible to gather a lot of that information that's not proprietary and is not behind a firewall to help you make a better and informed decision.
Got it. All right, continue. Next up, but we are trying to get through our final list here. Can't, sad to say, spicecatalyst.com, David Fradin. Unfortunately, I can't believe this is our last show, but there's so much still to get through here talking about artificial intelligence. Go ahead.
And then there's the C in SPICE, which is understanding your customer. I mentioned this earlier.
Yeah.
To understand what it is the customer wants to do, what jobs do they want to get done, what is their desired outcomes,
Mm-hmm.
and also to identify what tasks are important and what's the current level of satisfaction. Because if you have something that a customer wants to do and it's really important they get it done, and it's currently satisfied by using something else, well, then that's not a feature you should prioritize development for. But you got to find 15 things that the customers want to do where their satisfaction level with the current way of getting things done is relatively poor. And that helps you then prioritize what features should be developed first, second, and third. And then lastly, understanding how competent your employees are, and if they have all or some of the 130 competencies that I've identified in my book in order to have product success. Those you need to evaluate not only the employee competencies, which you could use AI to help put together the assessment tools like questionnaires and exams and tests, or set up scenarios that people have to solve, and then categorize each person as a sort of a beginner, intermediate, or advanced in each areas of these competencies. Like one competency might be writing a product positioning statement for a product. And then it could then put together the gaps, identify the gaps, and identify the additional training that could be done for that individual over the coming year. And then the whole process can be repeated again on an annual basis so that your product development teams, including product management and product marketing and marketing itself, is constantly improving on their skill sets and their competencies, which will help ensure product success. Lacking doing all of this, then companies will continue to have about 35% of their products fail in the marketplace each year, which represents collectively worldwide a waste of over $1 trillion in resources. But if they follow these steps of the SPICE mnemonic of product and market success, and use AI to help get the job done better and faster, using that innovation, then there could be a substantial reduction in product failures and a substantial improvement in product successes.
And in our last 5 minutes here, just have to remind everyone, don't forget, we got to reach out to you at spicecatalyst.com. And today, being it's our last show, sad to say, but you have to check out all his books. And I mean, just Google his name and you're going to find out so much about his life and all that he's accomplished and all his classes and workshops and courses and how he's helping you now with this company on top of it all on the product management side, which is pretty amazing. All right, so we got repeatable process, information for decision making, understanding the target customer. Let's continue.
Well, that's about completes all 5 of those areas that I've identified in terms of artificial intelligence. What was interesting is I was asked to give a presentation on this last year at a conference of the International Association of Software Product Managers, which is headquartered out of Germany. And they had a conference at UC Berkeley, UC Davis at Berkeley, California. And I wrote my presentation, of which what I just covered in the last 25 minutes is a summary of that. And then I said, oh, I wonder if AI could help. So I went to Perplexity and I said, what areas can artificial intelligence help in the field of product management? And it came back with pretty much the same outline that I had written. And those are all the topics that I mentioned today. So I thought that was pretty amazing that AI could do that good of a job. But you have to test these things. I went to Bard, for example, from The company helps us feel more stupid than any other company in the world. So at the Microsoft Bard, I put in my name, and it came back with about 50% of the description of me was right, about half was wrong. It said, for example, that I worked at Sun Microsystems. I never worked at Sun, but I was a reseller, a value-added reseller of Sun workstations many years ago. I put in one of my former colleagues that was the group product manager for the Apple II product line at Apple at the same time that I was the group product manager for the Apple III, and later the business unit manager for the Apple III. I put his name in, and it came back, and it said that he had a PhD from MIT. Well, he never went to college. He never got a college degree. So what it pulled together was completely off base. So I suggest you test whatever AI tool you're using with some questions that you know the answers for, to give you a feel for whether or not you can rely upon the information that AI tool has scalped together and regurgitated back to you.
Wow. Wow. All right. Well, how do we sum up you, Spice Catalyst, and what's next? Where are you going to be next?
Well, I'm just finishing up a book, which will be published during the last week in December, called Letters from My Hymie. My dad's name was David Fradin, and he was a very funny, humorous writer. And I got all of many of his letters that he wrote home during World War II.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
and he always wanted to be published. And it's a real funny short history from Ukraine in the late 1800s until my grandfather immigrated in 1914, all the way through going to Disneyland when I was 13 years old with my family. So it's a funny book. And again, the title is Letters from My Hymie. It'll be available under my name as an author, David Fradin, at Amazon, starting the last week in December 2024. And if you want a few good laughs, and what I'm able to do is, my dad always wanted to be a writer, but he was afraid to send in his query letters and get rejected. He was afraid of constant rejection. And he always wanted to get published. So this is my tribute to him, to publish his letters, and now he will be published.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, David Fradin, reach out. Do you want to give out your email again or number? And I'll give out the website, spicecatalyst.com.
And it's Dave at spicecatalyst.com.
Great. Well, thank you for being here. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy New Year. And all to you and your family, okay?
You too.
Thank you so much. Till we meet again, David. Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.